My name is Arthur Shaw. I'm 58. And 5 years ago, I disappeared after learning my wife's baby wasn't mine. She found me years later. That's when everything fell apart. I was splitting oak behind my cabin outside Durango, Colorado, when I heard the engine. Wrong kind of sound for these mountains. Too smooth. City car. A black SUV with rental plates pulled into my clearing. Evelyn stepped out first. My ex-wife wore a cream suit and heels that sank in the mountain dirt. A lawyer climbed out after her. Had to be expensive suit briefcase, that particular aggression. Hello, Arthur. Evelyn said we need to talk about what you owe us. I stay by the woodpile, hand on my axe. Us. Marcus Thorne representing Mrs. Shaw. The lawyer said 5 years without contact, 5 years of financial burden on her shoulders alone. The baby wasn't mine. I said she knows that. You were his father for 25 years. Evelyn's voice went hard. You don't get to walk away because I made a mistake. Because you had an affair. Got pregnant. Refused to end it even after I found out. Marcus cleared his throat. Mrs. Shaw filed documentation when you vanished. Police reports. Evidence of erratic behavior. Her actions to protect assets were justified. My chest tightened. What actions? The house transferred to Mrs. Shaw. Your mill buyout placed in protected accounts. Your retirement liquidated. He smiled. All documented. All notarized. I never signed anything. We have your signature. County recorded. If you're suggesting forgery, you'll need proof you don't have. Evelyn moved closer. You've been hiding while we struggled. While Clara wondered why her father abandoned her. My oldest, 30 now, 5 years gone. How is she? Evelyn's eyes gleamed with victory. Getting married this fall. You won't be invited. She doesn't want a father who ran. $175,000. Marcus said support asset division damages. Pay this ends. Refuse. We file a Mesa County public record. Everyone will know what you are. I looked at Evelyn. Try to see the woman I'd married. She was gone. Leave. I said 48 hours. The lawyer dropped a card. Then we proceed. They drove away. Dust settled across the clearing. Silas Croft stood watching. 73 Vietnam vet. He didn't wave, just witnessed. The drive to legal aid took 4 hours through mountain passes. I went to Montrose. 3 towns over where nobody knew my face. The office was cramped. Fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. Stacks of files covered every surface. This was where people came when they couldn't afford real lawyers. The woman behind the desk looked up. Mid-30s, dark hair pulled back, glasses sliding down her nose. Her nameplate said Megan Ramirez. How can I help you? I sat in the plastic chair. It creaked. Same sound as 100 other desperate people. My ex-wife is suing me for $175,000. Says I abandoned the family. Says I owe support for a kid that isn't mine. Megan pulled a legal pad closer. Clicked her pen. Start from the beginning. So I did. The whole ugly truth. Coming home early from the mill. The baby with another man's eyes. The paternity test. Evelyn's admission. Her refusal to end it with him. My decision to leave. Did you keep the test results? Megan asked. Any documentation of the affair? No. The word felt heavy. I wanted a clean break. Took my truck and left. She tapped her pen thinking that's a problem. Without evidence, this becomes he said, she said. And Mr. Shaw, the fact that you left doesn't look good. Abandonment is abandonment in the eyes of the law. I had a business partner, Victor Cole. We ran the lumber mill together in Kansas. He bought me out when I left. Gave me fair price. If he kept business records showing what the marital assets actually were, we might prove her claims are inflated. That was 5 years ago. He might not have kept files that long. Victor never throws anything away. Tax reasons, he always said. Megan wrote down his name. Call him. See what he has. Without documentation, Mr. Shaw, you're fighting uphill. Walking to my truck, I felt the weight. The law didn't care about heartbreak. Didn't care that staying meant dying slowly in a house full of lies. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Dad, Mom, show me the court papers. You owe us $175,000. How could you hide money while we struggle, Clara? My daughter thought I was a thief. I sat in the truck, engine off, staring at Victor's number. We hadn't talked in 5 years. He'd asked once if I was okay. I'd said yes and stopped answering. Now I needed something from him. The call went through. 3 rings. Arthur. Victor's voice, surprised, but not unfriendly. That really you? Yeah, it's me. I watched a young mother wrestle a toddler into the building. Normal people, normal problems. I need to ask something. Did you keep the business records from when you bought me out? The partnership files, asset statements. Silence then. Yeah, I keep everything. Tax reasons. He paused. What's going on? I told him brief. Evelyn's lawsuit, the forged signatures, the money she claimed I owed. Jesus, Arthur. His voice went heavy. I'll look tonight. Call you tomorrow. I appreciate it, Victor. He hesitated. I'm glad you called. Been wondering about you. We hung up. I sat there watching the fluorescent lights flicker in the legal aid window. Megan was already with another client. Someone else's crisis. My phone buzzed again. Different number. This is Marcus Thorne. 46 hours remaining. Mr. Shaw, we can resolve this quietly or publicly. Your choice. I started the engine and headed back toward the mountains. Victor called back the next evening. I was on the porch watching the sun drop behind the mountains. Coffee going cold in my hand. Silas's porch light was on across the way, steady as always. Arthur. I found the files. Victor's voice sounded wrong. Heavier. It's worse than you think. My hand tightened on the phone. How much worse? She forged your signature on the house deed. I've got her original partnership dissolution here. Your signature looks nothing like what's on the county transfer documents. The coffee mug felt slick. What else? Your retirement account. She liquidated it 2 weeks after you left. Transferred most of it to an account belonging to. He paused. Evan Reed. That's him, right? The guy she was with. Yeah, that's him. There's more. Victor's voice dropped. The missing person report she filed the day you left. Claimed you were suicidal. Said you'd been acting erratic. Used it to get emergency access to your accounts. The mountain air felt thin. Suicidal. The cops interviewed me back then. I didn't know what she was doing. They asked if you seemed depressed after the baby came. I said, yeah, you seemed off. I thought I was helping them find you. His breath came ragged. I gave her the ammunition she needed. God, Arthur, I'm sorry. I watched light fade from the valley. Evelyn hadn't just stole my money. She'd built a legal fiction that made me the villain. You didn't know? I should have questioned it. But she was crying, and Clara was so angry. And everyone believed her story. He stopped. I'll testify. I'll tell them I was wrong, but I didn't know the whole truth. I appreciate that. After we hung up, I sat with the weight of it. My phone showed Clara's accusatory text. I typed a response. The money your mother says I hid. She stole. The signatures are forged. I can prove it. Deleted it. Typed again. I never abandoned you. Your mother lied about why I left. Deleted that, too. Anything I said would sound offensive. Would sound like excuses. Finally typed. I love you. I always have. Couldn't send it. She wouldn't believe it anyway. The next morning, a woman appeared at Silas's place. Mid-60s driving a sedan with Kansas plates. She talked with Silas for 20 minutes, then drove to my cabin. She got out carrying a manila envelope, professional clothes, gray hair, and a neat bun, kind eyes behind wireframe glasses. Mr. Shaw, my name is Helen Bishop. I worked as a secretary at the community center where your wife volunteered. She held out the envelope. I think you need to see this. Inside her photographs, Evelyn and Evan Reed at community center events. Dates stamped on the back going back 7 years before the pregnancy. Before I knew anything was wrong. I saw them together for years, Helen said quietly. The way they looked at each other, it wasn't innocent. When I heard she was claiming you abandoned her, taking you to court, she shook her head. I couldn't stay silent anymore. My conscience wouldn't let me. Why now? Why after 5 years? Because I heard through the grapevine you were fighting back. That you needed evidence. She met my eyes. Good men deserve someone in their corner, Mr. Shaw. Even when they're too proud to ask for help. After she left, I spread the photographs on my table. 7 years of proof. 7 years of Evelyn's lies documented by someone who'd simply been paying attention. My phone rang. Megan Ramirez, the legal aid attorney. Mr. Shaw, I reviewed what your partner sent over. The forgery is provable, combined with the financial records. We have a case. She paused. But you should know her lawyer will argue your abandonment justified her actions. A desperate woman protecting her family. Even with proof, she forged documents. They'll try. It won't be clean, and it'll be public. Your daughter will hear everything. I looked at the photographs spread before me. 7 years of betrayal. It'll be public, I said. I'm done running. That night, I stood in my cabin with my truck keys in hand. The engine was already running outside. Maps pulled up on my phone showing routes to Wyoming, Idaho, places even more remote than here. I could be across state lines by morning. Start over again. Let Evelyn have her victory. Let Clara keep her simple story about the father who abandoned her. It would be easier. The keys felt heavy. I'd done this before 5 years ago, choosing distance over confrontation. It had brought me peace, sure, but also this moment. Running didn't end anything. It just postponed a reckoning. Silas's old pickup pulled into my driveway, blocking me in. He got out slow, carrying something, a metal box I'd never seen before. He tapped on my window. Turn that engine off. Arthur, we need to talk. Silas, I'm leaving. It's what I do. You can leave tomorrow if you still want to. His voice was firm. But first, look at what I brought. I killed the engine. Followed him to the porch. The box was old, scratched, heavy. He unlocked it and lifted the lid. Inside were folders, dozens of them, organized, labeled, color-coded tabs. What is this? Silas looked at me with those steady eyes that had seen worse things than domestic betrayal. Your ammunition. I've been collecting it for 5 years. My hands went still. What? 5 years ago you moved in next door with nothing but a truck and a look I recognized. The look that says I'm done being where I'm not wanted. He opened the first folder. I had that same look 40 years back when I came here. My wife had an affair. Gave me a choice. Stay and pretend it never happened or leave and be called the bad guy. The wind picked up, scattering dust across the porch. I left. Silas continued. Never fought back. Never told my side. Spent 40 years wondering if I was a coward. His voice roughened. When I saw you, I decided something. If your story was like mine, you weren't going to face it alone and empty-handed. You pulled out documents, property records, bank statements, photographs, witness statements. You investigated me. I watched. I listened. I drove to Kansas 6 times over 5 years. Talked to your old neighbors, people at your mill, folks who knew you both. He met my eyes. Cost me most of my savings. But I'm old and single. What else am I spending it on? I stared at the mountain of evidence he'd built. 5 years of believing I was worth defending when I'd barely believed it myself. You don't have to fight. Silas said you can still leave. Drive to Wyoming. Start fresh. But you don't have to run empty-handed anymore. You got proof now. You've got truth documented and ready. The keys were still in my hand. Wyoming waited. Idaho waited. Another 5 years of peace earned through distance. But my daughter was out there believing I was a thief. And I had proof I wasn't. I pulled out my phone, called Megan. Ramirez. I have more documentation, I said when she answered. All of it. Can you meet tomorrow? Silas's hand landed on my shoulder. Firm, steady. That's how you thank me, he said quietly. By standing your ground. Clara stood in her mother's garage in Depica, surrounded by boxes that held pieces of a life she thought she understood. Liam, her fiancé, was helping her search for wedding decorations Evelyn swore were stored somewhere back here. This is hopeless, Clara said, pushing aside a box labeled Christmas 2019. Liam pulled out another unmarked box. What about this one? Inside were tools, old paperwork, a jacket. Clara lifted the canvas work jacket, heavy and worn at the elbows. It smelled faintly of sawdust and something else that tugged at memory. Is that your dad's? Liam asked. Evelyn appeared in the doorway. Why are you going through that? Just throw it away. The sharpness in her mother's voice made Clara look up. I was just throw it away or donate it. I don't care. I don't want it in my house. Evelyn's face had gone tight. After she left, Liam looked at Clara. That was weird. Yeah. Clara held the jacket, feeling its weight. Something felt off. She took it home instead of donating it. 3 days later, trying on for no reason she could name, her hand found the inner pocket. Something crumpled inside the lining. A receipt yellowed, folded small. Kansas Medical Laboratory. Paternity test. Results ready for pickup. The date was 5 years ago, 6 weeks before her father left. Clara sat on her bed, the receipt shaking in her hands. She'd been 25 that year. The test wasn't about her. Her mother had been pregnant when Dad left. Clara remembered the tension, the whispered arguments, then nothing. Dad just gone. The baby was born 7 months later. Her half-brother living with Mom and Evan now. She pulled out her phone, searched. Can you get paternity test while pregnant? Answer, yes. Prenatal paternity test available after 7 weeks. Her father had known before he left. He'd known the baby wasn't his, which meant her mother had known, too. Clara called Evelyn, trying to keep her voice steady. Mom, where are the photos from 5 years ago, right before Dad left? Why are you asking about that? Wedding photo album. Liam wants to see what our family looked like. I threw those away. Too painful. Too quick. Too defensive. Clara hung up. Stare at the receipt. All photos from that year gone. Her mother, who kept every school paper, every birthday card, had thrown away an entire year of photographs. Liam found her still sitting there an hour later. You okay? I found something. She showed him the receipt. A paternity test from right before Dad left. Mom was pregnant. The baby Evan's kid. Liam read it. Understanding dawning. Your dad knew. The test proves it. Clara's voice faltered. I've spent 5 years hating him, telling everyone he abandoned us. And he had a reason. A real reason. You should ask your dad about this. No. The word came automatic. 5 years of anger, of shame. He had a chance to explain. Did he? Or did you not let him? Clara found her father's number in Evelyn's phone. Saved under deadbeat. Texted, I found something in your jacket. A receipt from a medical lab. Paternity test. Dated 5 years ago. Hours passed. No response. She was starting to think he wouldn't answer when her phone buzzed. That test proved the child her mother was carrying wasn't mine. She knew the results before I left. I'm sorry you're finding out this way. The world tilted. Clara read again. Again. Clara drove to her mother's house without calling first. Walked in to find Evelyn and Evan in the kitchen. Coffee mugs. Morning paper. The domestic scene suddenly looked obscene. You were pregnant when Dad left. Clara said, was it his baby? Evelyn's face went white, then red. This is exactly what he wants to turn you against me. Answer the question. Was it Dad's baby? It doesn't matter whose it was. He left. He abandoned his responsibilities. You're not answering. Clara's hands were fists. You cheated on him, didn't you? Your father was cold, distant. I was lonely. Evan paid attention to me. The words came fast, defensive. He made me feel valued. Evan was my gym teacher. Clara's voice broke. I was in high school. You were sleeping with my gym teacher while married to Dad. Evan stood from the table. Evelyn stopped talking. Let the lawyer handle this. Evan said quietly. Lawyer. Clara looked between them. What lawyer? Evelyn wiped the tears that came too easily. Your father owes us money, Clara. For you. For the life he destroyed. He's not fighting you over me. He's fighting because you stole from him. I protected what was mine. It wasn't yours. Clara backed toward the door. None of it was yours, and you knew it. If you go to him, Evelyn's voice shook. If you choose him over me, you're choosing a man who abandoned you. A coward. Clara stopped at the door. You know what? I'm going to Colorado. I'm going to hear his side. The real side. Clara, you don't. You don't get to decide who my family is anymore. She texted her father from her car. Liam slid into the passenger seat without being asked. I'm driving to Colorado. We need to talk. Just you and me. His response came quickly. Your mother will be here tomorrow with her lawyer for a meeting. Come if you want the truth. Liam looked at her. 8-hour drive. I'll navigate. Thank you. What are you going to do when you get there? Clara gripped the wheel. The receipt still in her pocket. Asked the questions I should have asked 5 years ago. Clara's car appeared 3 hours early, dust rising behind it in the dawn light, while watched from his porch, coffee warming his hands. Silas stood silent beside him, studying presents. She got out alone. Liam stayed in the car, giving him space. Father and daughter faced each other across 5 years of silence and lies. She looked like Evelyn had at that age. Same dark hair, same careful posture, but her eyes were his. Weary, hurt, searching. Tell me the truth, Clara said. No greeting, all of it. And don't you dare lie to protect me. Arthur gestured to the porch chairs. She hesitated, then climbed the steps. sat as far from him as the small space allowed. Silas disappeared inside, giving privacy, but staying close. I need to know why you left, Clara said. In your words. Arthur set down his mug, looked out at the mountains. I came home early from the mill. Your mother was holding a baby. The baby had Evan's eyes. I'd seen him at your school events. I knew immediately. You just knew by looking. I'd suspected for months. The way she pulled away. The way she lit up when his name came up. The baby confirmed it. He forced himself to meet her eyes. I got the paternity test the next day. Results came back. Not mine. So you just left. Abandoned us. I showed your mother the test. She didn't deny it. Said she'd been lonely. That I was too quiet. Too boring. That Evan made her feel young. His voice stayed level, though the memory burned. I asked if she wanted a divorce. She said no, so we could work it out. Clara's hands gripped the chair arms. Then why leave? She wouldn't stop seeing him. Told me I was being unreasonable, that I should accept reality and help raise the baby. He shook his head. I couldn't do it. Clara couldn't die slowly in a house full of lies. You could have told me. Call me. Explained. You were 25 building your life. I thought you'd be better off without me dragging you into it. His chest tightened. I was wrong. I tried to call once. You didn't answer. Your mother told me you didn't want to hear from me, that you'd said I was dead to you. Clara pulled the receipt from her pocket. She told me you had a breakdown, that you were unstable, dangerous even. I was heartbroken, but not unstable. Arthur's jaw set. I knew exactly what I was doing when I left. Silas emerged with coffee, set a mug in front of Clara without a word, then retreated to lean against the cabin wall. The baby, Clara said quietly. My half-brother there. Where is he now? With your mother and Evan. They married about a year after I left. Clara's face crumpled. She married him. And the whole time she was calling you deadbeat. She made choices, bad ones. But that's between her and me. Arthur's voice softened. You don't have to hate her, Clara. She's still your mother. How can you be kind about this? She destroyed you. She didn't destroy me. I'm here. I built something honest. He managed a sad smile. You're here. That's not destruction. That's survival. Silas moved, then carrying a lockbox set on the table between them. Your dad's not the only one who's been gathering truth. Silas said. Clara looked at the folders inside. What is this? 5 years of evidence. Forged signatures, stolen money, false police reports, all documented. Arthur opened the first folder. Showed Clara the deed transfer with a forged signature. Then bank records showing the theft. Then the police report claiming he was suicidal. She did this. Clara whispered all of it. Within 2 weeks of me leaving, Arthur confirmed. She planned it from the moment I drove away. Clara found the letter Arthur had written to himself. Read his handwriting. His pain from 5 years ago. You wrote this the day you left. I don't remember writing it. The notary kept it when I didn't come back. Clara set the letter down carefully. She told me her breakdown, that we couldn't trust you. I was heartbroken. Not dangerous. Just done. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it. Face hardening. Mom wants to know where I am. She looked at Arthur. Her lawyer meeting is in 2 hours. I'm staying. I want to be there when you show her the evidence. Clara, it's going to be ugly. She'll fight. Good. Her voice was steel-wrapped and hurt. I need to hear from her. I need to watch her face when she can't lie anymore. A second car appeared an hour or later. Older sedan, Kansas plates. A young woman got out. Mid-20s with Arthur's eyes and Evelyn's determined chin. Sophie. Clara stood from the porch. What are you doing here? Same thing you are. Sophie's voice was calm, hearing the truth. You knew where he was. Clara's voice rose. This old time you knew. I kept in touch anonymously at first, then occasional calls. Sophie climbed the steps. Not that I owe you an explanation considering you wrote him off without questions. Girls, Arthur started. Don't. Both daughters said it simultaneously. Sophie turned to Clara. 3 years ago at Grandma's funeral, I suggested inviting Dad. You called me a traitor. Said if I wanted to side with a deadbeat, I could do it alone because he abandoned us, because Mom told you he did. There's a difference. Sophie's voice stayed level. I'm a journalist. Clara, I investigate for a living, and what I found didn't match Mom's story. Clara stared at her younger sister. 3 years of silence between them. You've been in contact with him all along. Someone had to make sure he was okay. Sophie looked at their father. Someone had to believe him. Arthur stood between his daughters. Years of separation crystallizing in this moment. Sophie came to see me twice, he said quietly. Never pushed for more than I could give. Just wanted to know I was alive. Clara's anger crumpled into something else. Shame maybe, or regret. I should have asked, she whispered. Should have questioned Mom's story. You were her daughter. You're supposed to believe your mother. Arthur's voice was gentle even when she's lying. Sophie moved closer to Clara. He disappeared after learning the truth about the baby. Clara. Mom tracked him down 5 years later. Not to apologize, to steal more. The phrasing hung in the air. The same word from the YouTube thumbnail. Now spoken between sisters. I know. Clara pulled out the paternity test receipt. I found this. That's why I'm here. Sophie looked at the yellowed paper, then at her sister. 3 years of hurt and distance between them. I'm sorry I called you a traitor, Clara said. I'm sorry I let you believe lies for so long. I should have fought harder to make you listen. The sisters stood there, Silas and Arthur watching as years of manipulation began to crack apart. A black SUV appeared on the mountain road. Evelyn and her lawyer. She's here, Sophie said. Clara straightened. Then let's end this. The sisters stood side by side for the first time in 3 years. United finally in seeking truth. Evelyn and Marcus Thorne climbed the porch steps like they still held power. But something had changed. Clara and Sophie stood flanking their father. United, Silas leaned against the door frame, arms crossed. Megan Ramirez had her evidence organized on the table. What is this? Evelyn's voice faltered when she saw both daughters. The reckoning, Sophie said simply. Megan began without preamble. Mrs. Shaw, we have documentation of multiple felonies. Forgery, fraud, filing false police reports. Would you like to review the evidence before we proceed? Marcus held up a hand. Mrs. Shaw, I need to speak with you privately. No. Arthur's voice was firm. Whatever needs to be said, get said in front of my daughters. They've lived with lies long enough. Megan spread the first document, the house deed, your signature, Mr. Shaw, on the partnership dissolution. She placed the county deed beside it, and the forged signature transfer in the house. They're clearly different. Evelyn's face went pale. Bank records showing your retirement account liquidated. Funds transferred to Evan Reed's account. Megan's voice stayed professional. Police report filed the same day. Mr. Shaw left claiming suicidal tendencies used to justify emergency financial access. I was protecting my family, Evelyn said. But the words sounded hollow. You were covering your tracks, Clara said. Her voice shook, but held firm. I found the paternity test receipt, Mom. In Dad's jacket, the one you told me to throw away. Evelyn's eyes widened. Clara, you don't understand. I understand you had an affair. Got pregnant, then destroyed Dad when he refused to pretend it didn't happen. Sophie stepped forward. I've been investigating you for 2 years, Mom. I have emails between you and Evan going back 7 years. Plans to be together once you handle Dad. That's a direct quote. You were spying on me. Evelyn's voice rose. I was finding the truth you refused to tell. Sophie's voice was ice. Someone had to. Marcus Thorne stood abruptly. Mrs. Shaw, I'm withdrawing from representation. You need criminal defense, not civil counsel. He gathered his briefcase. I was not informed of fraudulent documents. This firm cannot be associated with. You're abandoning me. Evelyn's voice pitched higher. I'm protecting my license. He left without another word. The silence that followed was profound. Evan appeared at the bottom of the steps, drawn by the raised voices. He took one look at the scene and started backing toward his car. Don't you dare. Clara called down to him. You don't get to run. He stopped, shoulders hunched. Did you know? Clara asked about the forged documents. The stolen money. Evan's silence was answer enough. Get off this property. Arthur said quietly. Both of you and Evan, if I see you around my daughters again, we'll have a different kind of conversation. The threat was mild, but the steel behind it was unmistakable. Evan scrambled to his car. Evelyn stood alone on the porch, her carefully constructed world crumbling. I did what I had to do. You did what you wanted. Arthur corrected. There's a difference. What happens now? Evelyn looked at Megan. You have 2 options. Option 1, criminal charges. You face trial, possible jail time, and everything becomes public record. Megan pulled out papers. Option 2. You sign a full confession, return all stolen funds, publicly admit to the fraud, and we settle for restitution instead of prosecution. And if I choose option 2, you write a check for what you stole. You sign these documents admitting wrongdoing, and you stay out of Arthur's life permanently. Evelyn's hands shook as she reached for the pen. My reputation will be destroyed. Your reputation was built on lies, Sophie said coldly. Now it'll be built on truth. As Evelyn signed document after document, her daughters watched, not with satisfaction, with sadness for what had been lost. For the mother they thought they knew. When it was done, Evelyn stood to leave. She paused at the steps, looked back at Arthur. I did love you once. Before everything went wrong. I know, Arthur said, but love without honesty isn't love. It's just comfortable lies. She left. The sound of her car faded in a mountain silence. 4 months changed the shape of things in ways both small and profound. The legal settlement went through without contest. Evelyn returned most of the money, took a plea deal that kept her out of jail, but required community service and public acknowledgement of fraud. The local paper ran the story. Small town, big scandal, but Arthur was vindicated. Clara came to visit twice a month. Still called him Arthur, not Dad. The word was warming between them like snow melting in spring sunshine. She'd postponed her wedding, needing time to process everything. Liam understood. Good man, that one. Sophie visited more often. She'd taken a freelance journalism contract that let her work remotely, spent weeks at a time in a small cabin she'd rented 20 down the mountain, closed, but not crowding, respecting boundaries while rebuilding bridges. The Saturday before Thanksgiving, both daughters came for dinner. Arthur cooked steaks on the grill. Silas had helped him build. Nothing fancy, just good meat, simple sides, honest food. I talked to Mom yesterday, Clara said as they ate on the porch. The November air was cold, but clear. She asked if I'd invited you to Thanksgiving dinner at her place. What did you say? I said I was having Thanksgiving here with my father or my sister. Clara met his eyes. She didn't take it well. She'll adjust, Sophie said. Or she won't. Either way, we're done letting her decisions control ours. Silas appeared from across the clearing, carrying a pie. Beth made extra. Figured you could use dessert. Beth was Silas's daughter who'd driven up from Denver last month. They've been estranged for 15 years before Silas's involvement in Arthur's case inspired her to reach out. Funny how truth had a way of spreading. Thank her for us, Arthur said. After dinner, as the sun sat behind the peaks, the three of them sat in chairs on the porch. Arthur in the middle, his daughters on either side. Not the family he'd lost, the family he'd found. Can I ask you something? Clara's voice was quiet. Why did you stay gone so long even after you knew we might listen? Arthur considered the question. Mostly fear that you'd reject me again. Fear that telling the truth would hurt you more than the lies already had. He looked at both his daughters. I was wrong. Truth hurts, but lies destroy. I should have fought sooner. You fought when it mattered, Sophie said. That's what counts. Clara's hand found his tentative, uncertain, but real. I'm sorry I didn't ask questions 5 years ago. You're asking them now. That takes more courage than getting it right the first time. They sat as darkness settled over the mountains. 3 people who'd found their way back to each other through wreckage and time. Arthur. Clara's voice was soft. Yeah. Would it be okay if I try calling you Dad just to see how it feels? His throat tightened. I like that very much. Okay then. She squeezed his hand. Dad. The word hung in the cold November air. Simple. True. Earned. Sophie leaned her head against his shoulder. We're having Thanksgiving here next week. Fair warning. I can't cook worth a damn. I'll handle the turkey. Arthur said. You two bring sides. Deal. Inside through the window, Silas raised his coffee mug in a silent salute. Old veteran. Keeper of evidence. Guardian of truth. The man who'd believed when believing mattered most. The mountains stood eternal around them. The same peaks that had witnessed Arthur's arrival 5 years ago. Broken and running now witnessed his daughter's return and his own emergence from isolation. Not running anymore, just living. Honest, imperfect, real. The porch held 3 chairs now instead of 1. Coffee shared in comfortable silence. A family rebuilt on truth instead of obligation. Home,